If you have a loved one in a nursing home, you've probably heard the term care plan tossed around, but no one ever really explains what it means, or what should be in the care plan, or what implications the care plan has, or at least should have, on the resident's care. And then when something goes wrong, families often feel blindsided, like they missed something important that was buried in the paperwork that no one pays attention to. My name's David Terry. I'm a nursing home abuse and neglect lawyer in Missouri, and I've seen firsthand exactly what happens when facilities cut corners and ignore or even disregard these care plans. And in this video, I'll walk you through what a proper care plan includes, what rights your family has, and what should happen with the care plan, and how to spot red flags early so that you're not left in the dark when it matters the most. So let's get straight into what you need to know about nursing home care plans here in Missouri. Let's talk about what they really are, what your rights are as a resident or a family member, what absolutely must be included in these plans, and most importantly, what the care plan means, or at least should mean, so that you or your loved one is protected. When someone moves into a Missouri nursing home, one of the very first things that the facility is required to do is to create a care plan. This plan is the playbook for everything that is done for the resident, from daily routines to emergency steps. And under federal law, nursing homes here in Missouri are required to create a comprehensive care plan for your loved one. This plan is a detailed roadmap that spells out the specific care, services, and treatments needed to help your loved one achieve their best possible physical, mental, and emotional well-being while they're at that facility. So think of it like this. You wouldn't leave your child at a daycare that doesn't have a plan for the needs your child has, such as allergies or specific nutrition or emergencies, right? Well, the nursing home care plan is, or at least should be, that same level of security for your family member in a nursing home facility. If the nursing home skips part of the care plan or fails to follow the items identified in the care plan, it's not just a mistake. It's a serious breach of their legal duty to your loved one. So let's get clear about a key fact on care plans at Missouri nursing homes. Both you and your loved ones have rights. Your loved one has the right to be involved in planning their care, and you have the right to be involved, informed, and respected. So let's discuss 4 quick things about care plan involvement. Residents and their families have the right to help create the care plan. Now, this means you should be invited to meetings, have your questions answered, have your concerns taken seriously. The facility should be implementing physician orders and assuring clinical needs are being met, but that does not mean that the family doesn't have some say in what goes into the care plan. You have the right to see the care plan at any time. You don't need to wait until the next meeting to see your dad's care plan. If you ask, they have to show you. Now, let me insert one caveat here. Technically, the person who has the legal authority is the resident's power of attorney, if one exists. Now, that person typically is a family member, but not always. Nursing homes call this person the responsible party. Now, if you're not the official healthcare power of attorney, you'll want to work with whoever is the resident's designated responsible party, because they're the ones who have the formal legal standing to access records and participate in care planning. Now, it works best if the responsible party makes it clear to the nursing home that all family members are entitled to know everything about the resident's care. That solves a lot of problems. The care plan should reflect the resident's wishes, habits, and dislikes. If grandma hates broccoli or likes to sit outside in nice weather, then this should be made clear in the care plan, and the facility should do their best to make sure those wishes are met. If anything changes, let's say that there's a new health problem or a fall or a medication change, you have the right to see the updated care plan and to participate in those changes. Now, let me be really clear here. If you as a family member are not included, or you never see the care plan, that is a huge red flag. We see cases all the time where families are kept in the dark, and it almost always leads to bigger problems down the road. Now let's talk about what absolutely must be included in a care plan. Under federal law, all care plans have to cover these essentials. If anything's missing, the plan is not complete, and your loved one is at risk. So the first thing that must be included is the assessment of all medical and personal needs. Every care plan starts with a detailed assessment. This isn't just a one-time look over. The nursing home must conduct a comprehensive evaluation of the resident. We're talking medical conditions, medications, mobility, what they can and can't do for themselves, what's their diet, and it even goes into their emotional health. For example, let's say that your dad uses a walker and has diabetes. The care plan should state how staff will help him walk safely, how often his blood sugar will be checked, and that the members of the nursing staff are responsible for giving him insulin. Let me give you a second example. If dad's at risk for developing bedsores, the care plan should include steps to lower that risk, like repositioning him every 2 hours. These are critical issues that must be in the resident's care plan and must be followed by the healthcare providers. The second thing that must be included is a clear list of services and who provides them. The care plan must spell out exactly what services are needed and who's responsible for delivering them. And by the way, when I say who, I don't mean specific names of individuals. The care plan doesn't get that detailed. I'm talking about which discipline in the nursing home is responsible for delivering that care. For example, is it the nursing staff or the therapy staff? That's what we're talking about. And keep this in mind. This is not just about what we would typically consider medical care. Of course, it includes that, but oftentimes our definition of medical care is too narrow. The care plan should also include information about how much help the resident needs in bathing, dressing, hygiene, toileting, eating, physical therapy, social activities, basically everything related to medical care and the activities of daily living. This is important because the care plan is one of those things that holds the facility accountable. If the plan says that your mom needs to be repositioned every 2 hours and your mom develops a huge sacral bedsore that becomes infected, before the nursing home can even begin to claim that the bedsore was unavoidable, they have to show that they did what they were supposed to do under the care plan. If they can't prove it with documentation, then it's fair for you as the family member to point to that care plan and tell them this is what you were required to do according to the care plan, and you can't prove that you did it. Therefore, this is a violation of the care plan requirements. I could give you example after example of care plan violations. I won't do that here, but I will give you some insight into how this is often addressed in depositions. So I'll show the witness the care plan, and I'll ask them, are you required to follow this individualized plan of care for that particular resident? And at least half the time, probably more, the nurses and the CNAs have no idea if they're required to follow the care plan or even what's in the care plan. Now, as somebody whose father was in a nursing home, and I've dealt with this stuff, it is really frustrating and disheartening to hear just how clueless some of these employees are. The third thing that must be included, let's talk about goals and how to reach them. A good care plan is more than just a to-do list. It also has a section called goals. These are specific markers for the resident to achieve and steps the facility has outlined for getting there. Maybe the goal is to improve strength so the resident can walk to the dining hall on her own. Or maybe it's to manage pain better or to avoid pressure sores. These are all good goals. Why does this matter? Why do care plans have sections on goals? Because without clear goals, it's easy for staff to just kind of go through the motions. But when there's a target like, we want her to walk 25 feet without assistance by next month, then everybody knows what success looks like, and they can all work together towards that goal. Now, federal regulatory rules require that these goals be measurable and that progress be reviewed at regular intervals. If the goal isn't being met, the care plan must be adjusted. You as a family member have the right to see these reviews and to ask questions if things aren't on track. So the fourth thing that must be included are resident preferences and daily routines. This is where care plans often fall short, but it's just as important as the medical information. If a care plan is done properly, it should include the resident's preferences. When do they like to wake up? What foods do they enjoy or what foods do they hate? What activities make them happy? What's their religious practices or preferences? And even things like preferred clothing or bedtime routines. These personal touches are not just for comfort, they're linked to better mental and physical health. When a facility overlooks this, residents often feel powerless or ignored, and that can lead to depression or withdrawal. I can tell you for a fact that this personalization issue is almost always overlooked. By the way, I say overlooked. But that's just the polite way of saying that the nursing home almost always ignores the residents' preferences. They focus on what's easiest for themselves. I asked an employee one time why a resident at issue in that case was regularly woken up at 4:30 a.m. instead of being able to sleep until a reasonable time. Her response was that the morning shift was always short-staffed, so the night staff woke residents up early and got them ready, making it easier for the morning shift to get everyone to breakfast. Now, she acted like that was perfectly acceptable, like she just didn't realize how unacceptable that really was. The fifth thing that must be included is a timeline for review and updates. Care plans are living documents. Now, by law, care plans must be reviewed whenever there's a significant change in the resident's condition, and the underlying assessment must be updated at least annually. Frankly, most facilities review care plans quarterly as a best practice. This means if your loved one has a hospital stay, starts a new medication, falls, develops a bed sore, or suffers any setback, or on the positive side has some significant improvement in their condition, the care plan needs to be reviewed for possible changes. The responsible party to the resident, which is often the power of attorney, as I said, must be notified and included anytime this happens, and you should be invited to new care plan meetings as well. If you have a loved one in a Missouri nursing home, here's what you can do right now to make sure that their care plan is more than just another stack of paperwork. Ask for a copy of the care plan after every update, and then keep that in your own file. Attend every care plan meeting in person, by phone, or video if necessary. Bring a list of your questions and concerns. Take detailed notes and keep them. Now, I recommend having everybody in attendance initial your notes so that there's an agreement on what was discussed and what's going to be done. But be prepared for them to refuse to do that. By the way, I've done a video on the topic of care plan meetings and my recommendations for you. I strongly recommend that you watch that video. You can find that here. Another recommendation I have for you is to check the care plan yourself. Does it mention all your loved one's diagnoses, their medications, the risks and preferences? Are the goals clear? Check all of that. And speak up. If something's missing or not being followed, tell the facility in writing. Document everything. Dates, names, what was promised, and what you observed. That will be so helpful if something goes wrong in the future. And then know when to escalate. If your concerns are ignored, you have several options here in Missouri. You can contact the Long-Term Care Ombudsman, you can contact the Department of Health and Senior Services, or you can reach out to a nursing home abuse attorney if there has been a serious injury or death as a result of the facility's failure to provide quality care. Now remember, you are not being a, quote, difficult family member by insisting on these things. You're protecting your loved one's legal rights and basic dignity. In fact, at our law firm, I encourage families to be, quote, difficult as necessary when it comes to care plans because we've seen too many tragedies that started with the nursing home staff just ignoring the care plan. Now look, by difficult, I don't mean that you should be a jerk or that you should yell at people or threaten to sue them or going to go to the news media. Doing all that will backfire. I can guarantee you that. Now, my definition of being difficult is being polite yet firm when you have concerns about the care of your family member. In my nearly 25 years of handling these cases, I've seen care plans that looked great on paper, everything covered in spectacular detail, but the resident still developed a bed sore that became infected and it killed them. How's that possible when you have such a fantastic care plan? Look, the best care plan in the world isn't worth the paper it's written on if the facility employees don't follow it. Sometimes staff members cut corners. Sometimes the nursing home is short-staffed and the employees who are there just can't do everything. Now, this is very common in cases where the resident developed bed sores. There are also instances where the employees don't even know what's in the care plan and don't know what is required for the resident. And honestly, sometimes employees are just worn out or lazy and simply just don't do what they're required to do. Whatever the reason is, if the care plan isn't followed and your loved one suffers a serious injury or even death, the facility may be legally responsible. Now, if you bring up your concerns, and you should, keep in mind that these facilities are absolute experts at double talk. They'll tell you what you want to hear and then try sweeping the problems under the rug when you leave. They'll appease you while you're in front of them and then bury the issue when you leave. Don't let that happen. If you suspect the care plan isn't being followed and someone is seriously injured or has suffered a wrongful death, you may have grounds for a nursing home abuse and neglect claim, and you should talk with a lawyer who handles these cases regularly. This is an important issue, and you don't need to just let it drop. All right, so here's what we've learned so far today. A nursing home care plan is the roadmap to your loved one's care. It's legally required, it must be detailed, and they must at least attempt to include the resident's responsible party in every major step. The essentials are an in-depth assessment, a clear list of services and who provides them, specific goals, personal preferences, and a schedule for regular updates. If something's missing or ignored, you have the right and the responsibility to speak up. Now, if you're worried about bigger picture accountability, you'll want to watch another video I've made to help you out. That's called Medical Director Negligence: When is the Facility Legally Responsible? Now, that one breaks down when and how you can hold the nursing home and even their top physician accountable when something goes wrong. You don't want to miss it if you're serious about protecting your loved one. I'll see you over there.